Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on this Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on this Friday?
I'm good. How are you?
All righty.
How are you?
I'm not
good.
doing too bad. Not doing too bad.
Okay, good.
You know what's crazy? The Tuesday's show convincing you to pick the Cowboys, then I let you flip back over the Lions. That bit me right in the back right there because what a game it was. We're going to get into that as well as the rest of Week 14, which is ahead. We're going to make our picks, of course. We got one big game that I want to headline that I spoke about on Tuesday. We'll get into that. And, of course, we got to keep building upon our winning week last week. We had a winning Harvey Hot Hand week. We're going crazy this week. The amount of monumental matchups and key games on the line here. We have a very, very impactful Harvey Hot Hand, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But let's get into the big topic, which is, of course, last night's game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions, because both teams fending for a playoff spot. Both are out of it. But the Lions coming up massive at home at Ford Field, putting up 44 points after losing in terrible fashion against the Green Bay Packers. The Cowboys coming off their massive win over the Kansas City Chiefs, and before that, down 21-0, coming back against the Eagles and beating them. They were not able to do it 3 straight times with a win over the Lions. Instead, the Lions absolutely slapped them left, right, up, down, every way around. The Lions beat them 44-30. Jared Goff over 300 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no picks. Dak Prescott did have 2 interceptions, but contextually, were they his fault? My guess is probably not really. He didn't have nearly 400 yards passing, though, so it was a pretty good game for both quarterbacks. However, I think the story of the game is Cowboys defense. What the hell happened to it? But I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think that this is more so the Lions or the Lions we know of from last 2 years, or was this just a classic big game Dallas Cowboys collapse?
Well, I agree with you on the defense, and my summary is Jerry Jones claimed his deadline trades made the woeful Cowboys defense a lot stiffer. But after giving up 44 points to the Lions last night, we beg to differ. And it was, the Cowboys defense giving up all those points. I will say that the Lions offense played very well, maybe because the defense is not as strong as we thought that Dallas's defense was with the way they played the last 3 games. And with the additions that they made, Goff, you have up on the screen there, 309 yards passing and a touchdown. Not bad, 25 of 34. Montgomery had 6 carries, 60 yards and a touchdown, but he also had catches. He had like 6 catches.
He had 7 catches for 77 yards.
Yeah, not bad. Pretty good. He had a really good. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Montgomery. Montgomery had 6 for 60, a touchdown, and Gibbs had 7 catches for 77 yards. 43 yards of rushing on 12 carries and 3 touchdowns. That was big. Williams had 7 receptions for 96 yards. I think the Lions stayed in contention for a playoff berth with the offense performing and the defense that generated pressure and caused turnovers. I give Dan Campbell a lot of credit. He hasn't lost back-to-back games for, I don't know, 3 years or so now. That's pretty good. I mean, not to lose a back-to-back game for that period of time and really having to win last night, really important for them. And to come up big, he said, we played our best game that we played all year. He said that was the best game they played all year so far. Lions playoff probability now at a little over 50%. Dallas drops to 7%. I think Goff's 12-yard TD to rookie Isaac. It looks like his name is Tesla. Is that his name?
Tesla, yeah.
Tesla.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I wonder if he drives a Tesla. He put Detroit ahead by 27-9. I think that was kind of the end. But Dallas got within 3 points at 3:42 to go when Aubrey kicked his 5th field goal. Gibbs, again, I mentioned 7 catches, 77 yards, 43 yards rushing, 3 TDs for the big thing. And St. Brown, coming off the injury report, and maybe not fully recovered, but he came in and played. He had 6 catches for 92 yards, and he blocked really well. The defense, Muhammad had 3 sacks, and Jack Campbell had a sack and a forced fumble. I think it was a great game for Prescott. I mean, he was under a ton of pressure. The offensive line didn't protect him. He threw the 2 interceptions, but, he had 31 for 47, 376 yards, a touchdown, the 2 interceptions. But I agree with you. They really weren't his fault. He was under tons of pressure. CeeDee Lamb was doing well, 6 for 121 yards, but he left the game with a concussion. And interestingly, Pickens didn't really pick up the slack. He only had like 37 yards or so rushing. And Dallas, I think they just settled for too many field goals. But 60, and they were 5 field goals, 63, 57, 55, 42, and 29. And Aubrey is the first kicker to make 3 field goals of 55 yards or more in a game. So pretty impressive. And 63 yards.
Yeah.
What is the record now?
68 yards.
68 yards. Well, yeah. 63 to me is pretty impressive. Was indoors, but, Still very good. So, I feel bad for the Cowboys. I was going to pick them. I thought about it. We talked about it on the Tuesday show. I went back to the Lions just before the game last night. I'm happy I did.
I'm not. I flip-flopped at all the point. This was a classic Cowboys collapse, and I'll give the Lions their credit. They're somehow keeping a streak from October 30th of 2022 still alive of not losing back-to-back games. That in of itself has been impressive. And also the way they played last night, not looking anywhere near the same. Their explosive offense led by Ben Johnson wasn't there anymore throughout the year. It was there in some games, but it really didn't look that way through large swaths of the season. Early on during their only winning streak when they were healthy, they looked pretty dominant, absolutely obliterating the Bears. But since then, it's been one really good game, one really bad game, one close game that they should have blown out another team, one shocking game. I mean, it's all up and down for the Detroit Lions. But in this game, it was a Cowboys collapse, absolutely. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs, and my big thing on Tuesday's show was inside the run, like inside the tackles. How does Jahmyr Gibbs run? Well, Jahmyr Gibbs, the Cowboys did exactly what I thought they would, stopping Jahmyr Gibbs running the football. 12 carries, 43 yards, 3.6 yards a carry, the 3 touchdowns. A couple of them were like within 15 yards of the red zone. So they're not like these explosive runs like we saw against the Giants where he breaks off 68 yards for an overtime touchdown. Nothing like that. So they were able to mitigate the impact of Jahmyr Gibbs running the football, but they forgot to realize that Jahmyr Gibbs is not just like a running back. He's also an every down back. You throw him out there in the flat, throw it to him, he'll make 5 guys miss on a couple plays. I mean, that's what he did a number of times. And through actually a majority of this game, Jahmyr Gibbs was the Lions' leading receiver. So the fact that he was out there just doing basically everything for the Detroit Lions was also great. But something that I noticed is that this offense, and it's kind of, if you have a very good quarterback or even a good quarterback, this tends to be what happens. If you have no pressure or minimal pressure, you're going to operate a very high effective offense. I think right now, Tom Brady's 47 years old? If he couldn't get hit, he would be a top 12 quarterback in the league. Because I still think he could sling the ball. You put him on, you keep him on the Buccaneers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and all of them, and you just say, hey, if Tom Brady can't get hit, he could operate a very good offense. Drew Brees has no arm, but it would be the same thing. Peyton Manning, same thing. If you put all these old guys that you can't get hit, they'll be fine. If Jared Goff doesn't get hit, what does he look like? He looks like what we saw last night, puts up 44 points per game, basically, and especially at home. But this one, the Cowboys didn't run the ball effectively. Their defense wasn't like what we saw the past couple weeks. Dak Prescott didn't look great, but the big one for me and everybody's talking about is George Pickens gave up. CeeDee Lamb, he went out early in the third quarter with a concussion. They basically ruled him out instantly. And it was George Pickens' time to shine. You've marked him, and a lot of people have marked him as the actual Cowboys wide receiver 1 for this season. And this is where we actually needed to see the Cowboys' new wide receiver 1. And you saw some of the breaks. It looks like he was jogging and not really caring. And on one of the deep shots when they were down by, I think, like 14 points, Dak Prescott, chucks it to him with like a little over 2 minutes remaining. And he kind of just slows up and doesn't even really try to get the ball that landed like 2 feet from him. So it's like the lack of effort. And that's why very early on, when they made this trade, I said it was a bad idea. The off-the-field stuff, the not caring, the locker room BS, it's reared its ugly head once again. It took them 14 weeks, but apparently the George Pickens we know, and there was also obviously the missing a couple series. We saw that a couple games ago where him and CeeDee Lamb both got benched for a series or two. There was some reporting about the off-the-field stuff still going out late, missing meetings, being late to meetings and whatnot. That's the George Pickens that Mike Tomlin, of all people, gave up on. He had AB in the locker room. He had the running back, Le'Veon Bell, in the locker room, where he just sat out a season. And he gave up on this guy, the guy that is apparently playing for a $40 million a year contract because he's at the end of his deal. It looks like that if he keeps, putting up with this and he keeps behaving like this, we're going to see a George Pickens that might get franchise tagged. And under a franchise tag, what is he going to behave like? That's my big question. So this was an interesting situation for the Cowboys. It's not like they were out of it. This was a very competitive, this was a shootout. It was a one-score game with like 3 minutes remaining. They needed one stop and didn't really get it. The Lions went right down and scored a touchdown, 17 points in the fourth quarter. But, this is a very winnable game for the Cowboys. The hook was there. It was 3.5. It went all the way to 3.5 for the Lions right before kickoff.
When the Cowboys got within 3, I thought they might have a chance.
And I thought they did as well. I just think that the Lions played to their strengths. They actually kind of shifted. They played to their strengths of Jahmyr Gibbs and also, David Montgomery, who, by the way, broke the record for a duo of rushing touchdowns in a singular game. They're the best 1-2 combo in NFL history.
Yeah.
But they kind of shifted it because it went from running for 250 yards to then doing 100 yards running and 100 yards passing as well. Because they combined, they had 90 yards of receiving, and then they each had 103 yards combined rushing. So they were able to have that 1-2 punch, not just running, but also in the receiving game as well. So this Lions offense with Dan Campbell has expanded very nicely. Again, I'm saying this is more of a Cowboys collapse because we've seen this Lions team already this year, where all of a sudden they put up 40 points, and the next game they almost lose to Jameis Winston. They should have lost to Jameis Winston. Or they go up against a Green Bay Packers team, they get pressured, Jared Goff can't win the game.
The Lions defense came up big, and the Cowboys defense stunk it up.
Yeah, and I'll also say this, something that I noticed, it wasn't that much in this game, but Dan Campbell took out the gambling part of Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I saw that.
4th and 2 on their own 37, they punt.
Yeah.
4th and 5 on the Dallas 34. They kick a field goal, but they miss it. But still, you kick the field goal instead, just putting up points. And I think in a game like this, I think Dan Campbell shifted a tiny bit.
I think he should continue that.
This looked like a team that wanted to just put up points and try to win the game, not go try to make fourth down, and play to what Dan Campbell is known for. This was just let's just put up points.
I think it worked. I think it worked very well. I think it took a little pressure off the offense. They have been thinking, what, if we get into a fourth down situation, we're going to have to make it. And Dan Campbell took a little pressure off those guys. They wound up scoring 44 points. Who do the Lions have left?
The Lions. It's going to be interesting because there is an opportunity for them to get in. Except this very next game where they play at Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, God.
That's 425.
I think their problem this year is they have a very tough schedule.
No, they have an incredibly
tough schedule. Who else? Who's left?
Versus Steelers.
They should win that.
Tough they play very tough defenses the final 4 weeks. So it's at Rams versus Steelers, at Vikings.
They'll win that one.
And, they lost to J.J. McCarthy already. We have to remember.
No,
27-24.
They're not going to lose again.
In Minnesota.
I don't think.
at the 1 seed Chicago Bears, who they obliterated week 2, 52-21.
Yeah.
But is in Chicago.
So if they win 3 out of 4, they'll be 11 and
6.
That might get them in.
Does that? But the question is, does that may get them? It's difficult because the NFC West has three teams with 9 wins. So this might be a situation like we have Cincinnati: win the division or you're not getting in, and that means that you would have to surpass the Bears, who you're 1.5 games behind them, and you also have to surpass Green Bay, who the Green Bay and Chicago play this week. So if I'm Detroit, am I rooting for the Bears because Green Bay swept me? Although we can't tie, so actually I might be rooting for Green Bay to beat Chicago, to have then Chicago drop down.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Bears. I think they have a tough time beating Green Bay. I'm not
6.5 point underdogs.
I think that
was a big spread when I saw that.
Is too big.
It was interesting to see that they're the number 1 seed in the NFC.
I got Green Bay winning,
but nobody cares about
but the Bears covering. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
that'd be good for the Lions.
I would assume so. Yeah,
but then they don't play Green Bay again, right?
Correct.
So Green Bay, what's the schedule?
Green Bay finishes obviously this week. They're playing at home against the Chicago Bears. Then it's at Denver. Then at Bears.
I don't think they'll win that. And then Bears will split with them. So
okay,
they'll lose those 2.
So 1 and 2. Then versus Baltimore.
Nah, they can't. Baltimore has to win that game.
Okay, so you're saying that they somehow figure out a way to beat Green Bay?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 1 and 3, and then at Minnesota.
They'll win that
who
one.
they beat by 17 points.
So Detroit still has a shot at winning the
2 and 3 puts them at 10-5 and 1. Or Matt? No, 10-6 and 1. Excuse me.
10-6 and 1. So the Lions would get in.
The Lions would be that would be some. And then obviously Chicago would lose a game or 2 there obviously in order because they have 9 wins.
It's going to be great down the stretch, man. Really good. Going to be very exciting.
That Week 18 game versus Detroit may determine who wins the NFC North. Same as last year when it was Vikings Lions.
A lot of these races, they're going to go right down to the last game.
Well, that's the fun of the NFL. We don't want things done by Week 14.
No, we don't.
This
is good.
The only race in the AFC is the 1 seed. That's all it is because the division's locked up. The Patriots, they're going to win the AFC East. It looks like Denver's going to win the AFC West. The only division races within the AFC are the AFC North, but it's a bunch of weird, bad teams that we expect to be good. There's right now 2 6-win teams, a 4-win team. They're all in playoff contention still, technically.
Yeah.
So the AFC is rough this year. But, yeah, the NFC, there's a lot of really, really great teams. Philly got to figure something out. But the NFC West, Rams 9 and 3, Seattle 9 and 3, San Francisco 9 and 4. Chicago's the 1 seed at 9 and 3. That's weird. Chicago Bears, the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers, them both being good at the same time is a rare occurrence. So it's going to be fun to see this weekend. Yep. But speaking about another marquee matchup, I want to focus on this one. I want to highlight this one in particular because this is the biggest game the Kansas City Chiefs will play the rest of this year and the entire season because this basically determines whether or not they're going to make the playoffs. If they lose to the Houston Texans, and everything plays out, as expected, so the winners win the rest of the year. The projected winners of each game win. This game would make the Chiefs have a less than 1% chance to make the playoffs if all favorites win out the rest of the year. Right now, they have about a 34% chance to make the playoffs. With a win, they increase the odds to make the playoffs to 51%. With the loss, it's at 11%. So this is a massive game. The Houston Texans coming off a big win against the Indianapolis Colts, while the Chiefs, Thanksgiving, came off a big loss against the Dallas Cowboys in a big upset here. So my question to you is, if the Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday lose, or even if they win, regardless of what you think, because we'll make our picks later, is Kansas City's season on the line on Sunday night, I think, against the Houston Texans?
Yes, I think it is, for sure. And it's too bad they're going up against the Texans, who have a 4-game winning streak, including wins over the Colts and the Bills. So they've been playing pretty decent competition, and they've been winning lately. They have the best defense, I think, in the league by quite a bit now. And points and points and yards, they're number 1. Yards allowed, number 1. The Chiefs lost 1 game at Arrowhead since Christmas Day 2023, so they're pretty good there, excellent there actually. But their defensive line is, their offensive line is battered. going against the Texans' elite defense. And I think that's going to be the difference here. Stroud is back. I was surprised how well he played against the Colts last week. He really was throwing the ball well. It didn't really look like the Stroud we've been watching for a while. Maybe he's found something after he got knocked out and was out for 3 games with a concussion. He's back, and he looks pretty good. I think the Chiefs lose, as you say, their playoff chances are pretty much nothing. They are far from the supreme team that we've been accustomed to watching, losing 3 of their last 4. I think if Stroud plays well, and I'm picking the Texans.
That's a big one, and I actually agree with you. I bet this game very early in the week. When I saw that 3.5 spread, I jumped on it basically instantaneously, which is what I also did with Indy because I figured that point spread would move. So yeah, no, this is going to be a very interesting game because this is basically the season. I've been on this before. In the opening I said, if all favorites or projected winners, if they win out the rest of the year, this is the game that would cost the Chiefs the season. I understand it's only week 14, but this is the biggest swing. It is a 40 percentage point swing between win and loss. No other, based on the Athletic playoff predictor, no other game has this big of a swing. The Texans and the Steelers, as of right now, they're both in the way of the Kansas City Chiefs to get into the playoffs. The Chiefs are the 10 seed right now, which is crazy to think about. But you're right about this. The Texans' defense is going to be the thing that wins them this game, or even makes this game relatively close, because these are the numbers. Houston Texans' defensive ranks this season. Points allowed, they're first. Total yards per game allowed, they're first. Yards per play allowed, they're tied for 4th. EPA per play allowed, they're first. Passer rating allowed, first. Average time to pressure, they're 5th. Points per drive allowed, they're first. I mean, they have been an incredibly great defense the entire year. And the only thing that's really kept them afloat with so many quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud being not good early in the year, then eventually going down, and Davis Mills coming in, winning 3 straight with him, and then C.J. Stroud coming back. The defense has been the absolute perfect storm for them, picking up basically where the old Texans that we really liked with C.J. Stroud's rookie year, where we loved them all around, like, well, the defense needs to improve. All of a sudden, they're making draft picks, they're moving people, then they look like a complete team. Well, we kind of hoped and expected C.J. Stroud this year to be something, and it hasn't been. And then as of late, you come in last game against the Indianapolis Colts, who are relatively healthy. You go up against them, and you actually perform very, very well. Now you're going up against a Chiefs defense that I believe hasn't gotten a sack in like 11 quarters, which is ridiculous. Chris Jones, where is he? He's nowhere to be found. The Kansas City offense, dink and dunk, the explosive plays have kind of diminished. A lot of yak big-time plays, but nothing like we saw maybe early in the year with Tyquan Thornton having these explosive plays. I'm sure Sauce Gardner's still guarding him instead of Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy. Again, that Lou Anarumo game plan of having Sauce one-on-one, regardless, I think that's still a dumb idea. But in this case, Derek Stingley Jr. should be all over the place. I really think that this defense is going to do a number on Kansas City, because I think Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, you're going to be facing off against backup tackles, because this is the big key thing right here. The Chiefs are going to be down 3 starting offensive linemen most likely. One in particular, Simmons, he's on IR already. You're looking at Trey Smith, the guard, and as well Juwan Taylor. They're both doubtful. So if they're out, and I'm presuming the arc is doubtful, there's like a 95% chance they're going to be out already. That means you're going to have like Wanya Morris being one of your starting tackles going up against Danielle Hunter or Will Anderson. And then you also have the interior offensive line with Trey Smith also being out. So Mahomes isn't really going to be comfortable with those 2 monsters coming around the edge and then stepping up into a very, very aggressive interior defensive line that the Texans have. The Texans also have great linebackers. They have great defensive backs. They have great safeties. I mean, their defense is incredible. It's going to make Mahomes uncomfortable. And Mahomes, when he gets uncomfortable, we saw it in the Super Bowl and this year, completion percentage while pressured, 31st in the league. Passer rating is 17th. Yards per pass, they're 16th. So Mahomes under pressure doesn't do very well. Like, he's one of the worst quarterbacks under pressure this year. And the Texans defense is able to generate a decent amount of pressure and generate a decent sack percentage this year. Now, shockingly, their defense is great. Their pressure rate is like 13th, though, which is a little weird for me. So,
yeah. Well, I think that this could be a similar game to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Right? With the Texans just overwhelming the Chiefs' offensive line, and Mahomes being under pressure, not being able to find his receivers, and not being able to run the ball either. And you saw what happened when the Eagles were able to do that against them. They just wiped them out.
My only concern is that the Houston Texans offense is pretty pitiful. We're talking about a team that only averages they're 21st in points per game.
Their running game.
They don't have one. You were hoping Joe Mixon would be back. He's going to be out for the year. We learned that, weeks ago. Woody Marks has had a couple games here and there. Nick Chubb is not the Nick Chubb we know from the Cleveland Browns, averaging like 6 yards a carry or whatnot. So you have Nico Collins back. That's obviously good to have. If Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, if they combine for 90 yards rushing, this could be a decent-sized victory for the Texans.
Because I think it's all up to Stroud, really. The defense we know is going to be very hard on the Chiefs and should hold them from scoring many points. I think they'll be under 20 easily. But it's up to Stroud. If he can play like he played against the Colts, the Texans are going to win. For sure.
We'll see. And I really don't expect Stroud to be that bad because he went up against a pretty decently good Colts defense and did pretty well. And going up against a Chiefs defense that hasn't done much this year. Especially, you look at some of the players out there and you expect more. Chris Jones, where has he been? He's supposed to be the enforcer, the closer of the game. We saw him last year. All you knew is when it gets to the fourth quarter, there's going to be one guy who's going to torment your offensive line, and that was number 95. He hasn't really done anything, and the sacks just have not been there for the Kansas City Chiefs whatsoever. Mahomes has tried his very best.
I think Mahomes is having a great season. He just doesn't have the weapons around him to make it happen. Kelsey's old. He's getting old. And the receivers, they started out the year without Rice. The rest of those guys, Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, Worthy. Worthy got hurt. He was out for a while. So, they're all there now. But the offensive line is not against the Texans. It's going to be tough, very tough for them. And I don't think they'll do very well. But again, if the Texans' offense can't score any points, then that gives the Chiefs a chance. And the Chiefs never lose at Arrowhead. So, and it is Andy Reid and Mahomes, and that's big. But I just think I think that Stroud will play well.
And here's going to be a follow-up question to you. Does Mahomes need to be the Josh Allen Superman for the Chiefs to win? Does he need to do basically everything?
If Stroud is having a good game, I'd say yes, right? Because that means the Texans are scoring some points. That'll mean Mahomes has really got to come up big. I mean, the Chiefs, their running game is pitiful.
Yeah,
it's pitiful, and even though they have Pacheco back and Hunt has had a couple of good games, you can't count on it. You can't count on it at all. And I think the Texans defense is good against the run. And so I just think the Chiefs are in really bad trouble, They've dug themselves a hole that I personally don't think they're going to get out of because I don't have them winning this week.
Wow. I would say that's absolutely big. I mean, we're talking about my concern, my primary concern is not necessarily CJ Stroud. I think he could have a mediocre game. So like 250 yards and a touchdown.
That's pretty good. 250.
And a touchdown. I could calculate what that could be in passer rating, whatever. Like 64% completion percentage, 250 and a touchdown. Mediocre game. My big thing is exactly what happened to the Indianapolis Colts. If you're playing one-dimensional football, then Spagnuolo could just send the blitz always because you're not going to run the football. If Woody Marks and Nick Chubb can't get anything going, C.J. Stroud could have a 350-yard game. I would not expect them to win.
Yeah. Well, Marks has played okay.
And that's your big thing, too, which is you have to run the football. You have to have an effective running game.
No, I think they do have to run it some, for sure. They have to keep the defense a little bit honest if they can help that. So I just think that the Houston's defense is one of the best. It is the best. It's the best defense. It's going up against a Chiefs offense that has Mahomes and not a whole lot else.
On paper, No. Because you look at the defense, you look at some of the names on defense, you look at Travis Kelce. Xavier Worthy is like a gadget guy. Rashee Rice, he's a touchdown machine. If you have him on fantasy, I mean, that's the best combo you could possibly have. Because it's like every single game, it's a touchdown, basically. Because I guess that's just Mahomes' guy. Mahomes, this is what I was trying to find. The big thing for the Texans is sub 300 yards allowed. They've only allowed 300 or more yards 3 times this season. It was against the Bucks, Bills, and Seahawks. They're 1-2 in those games. Since Mahomes became the starter, so 2018, in games where the Chiefs have had sub 300 yards, they're 11 and 6 in those games. The last couple years is about 500. So that's post Tyreek Hill. Can Mahomes overcome? Can they reach the 300-yard total yard number? I think that's the big one here. That's another thing. I mean, there's so many things in this game because this is their playoff game. And normally, backs against the wall, what are the Chiefs going to do? We saw last year in the playoffs, a couple iffy penalties. I don't know if you remember the weird roughing the passer where the Texans players hit each other. Mahomes dropped, and then there was that roughing the passer.
Texans had some bad calls in that game.
Yeah. So
no, the Texans have revenge on their mind as well.
I would expect that if I'm them. CJ Stroud's back healthy. We'll see. Coming back from concussion protocol. They just don't have Joe Mixon, so that hinders their ability out of the backfield. If you can't have even close to a balanced offense.
Woody Marks, he'll do okay.
Yeah, you have to trust Woody Marks. Hey, they've rushed 100 yards the last 2 games. They've won both, Bills and Colts. If they can reach that number, they've done pretty well for themselves this entire season.
They've beaten some good teams.
Only 1 loss when they rush for 100 or more yards.
Yeah, so they're going to try to run it for sure. And
but the loss coming to the Rams.
Where are the Chiefs ranked against the run?
The Chiefs against the run, they are 9th.
So
12th against the pass.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I might be wrong. The Chiefs could find a way to win this game. They don't lose at Arrowhead, and so I just think they're going up against a team that is really on a roll right now, and their defense is the best. So we'll see. I'll be watching.
The last time the Chiefs lost at Arrowhead,
Christmas Day, 2023.
Really?
Yeah, that's the last time.
Interesting. All right, coming up, we're going to break down Week 14's games, also by Harvey Hot Hand. We pick every single game for Week 14, every single week throughout the NFL season. We make those picks, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll be back in 30 seconds to make our Week 14 picks.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's so good to have you in today on this Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is our weekly picks. Every single week throughout the NFL season, we make our picks and predictions for who's going to win and who's going to cover the point spread. We had a pretty good week last week. You had 500. I'm gaining some ground, but I have a long way to get, especially this one. I'm already down 1 game so far this week, so I got to bounce back. We do have some crazy games. I think this first one's going to shock you a little bit. So let's begin with my picks for Week 14. Immediately, last night's game we already talked about. So Sunday's games, Dolphins at Jets. Give me the Jets straight up in this one. I'm taking the upset here. Tyrod Taylor, he operates this offense better, but here's the big one for me. What team loses when it's sub 50 degrees normally? It's going to be 38.9 degrees projected. The Dolphins are winless when it's sub 40 degrees since 2 has been there. So give me the Jets. They're learning how to win. They were very competitive with the Baltimore Ravens through the first half, and they were able to beat the Atlanta Falcons. Going up against the Miami Dolphins that actually almost gave the game away to Tyler Shuck and the New Orleans Saints. If it wasn't for bad clock management late, 1 timeout, 4th and 1, you decide to run it. To me, that makes no sense. With especially 1 timeout, you just let the clock keep going. It was a weird situation for them. So give me the Jets in the upset. Tyrod Taylor, he operates his offense better than Justin Fields did. So I'll take the upset. Obviously, Jets cover the +3. Next one, Seahawks at the Falcons. Give me the Seahawks here -6.5. Drake London will be out for this game, and I think going up against that defense for Kirk Cousins, it's going to be rough, absolutely rough for him. I think that this Seahawks defense, we just saw what it did to Max Brosmer. Yikes. We had some crazy plays. My only concern is what is Sam Darnold going to do against that pass rush of Atlanta? That's actually very, very good this year. If he's able to execute at a pretty high level, they're going to blow out the Falcons. But if Sam Darnold is the Sam Darnold the past couple weeks, that gets me a little nervous, not only in the cover, but also in the win. But I trust that this Seahawks offense will figure itself out on top of a great defensive performance. So give me the Seahawks to win and cover the -6.5 on the road. Saints at the Buccaneers. Now, Mike Evans returned to practice but will not play, as well as Jaquan McMillan. He returned to practice but also will not play. So it's Chris Godwin and company, and also Bucky Irving came back last week, which was big. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers in this one. Baker Mayfield played actually pretty well, being all banged up, and probably about 65%. Do we want to give him at least that? He was pretty brutal out there, but he was able to have power through and get the win against the Cardinals last week. So they're going up against the Saints, that are not a good team. They were down 16-0 to the Miami Dolphins at one point. I think that they're going to do a great job running the football here. Give me the Buccaneers in a big-time blowout against a division rival. I'll take the Bucs to win and cover the -8.5. The next one, the Commanders at the Vikings. Jaden Daniels will be back for this game. That's going to be interesting here. J.J. McCarthy also, as expected, clear concussion protocol. So we're looking at the rookie, or the 2-year player, but the rookie class of, 2024. They'll be versing each other for the first time. So it's going to be an interesting matchup here. Max Brosmer, I don't care if J.J. McCarthy was still in concussion protocol. They were going to find another quarterback because that 0-touchdown, 4-pick game was rough. Justin Jefferson just leaving the stadium right after the game. Not a good look for the future of J.J. McCarthy suiting up in the Minnesota Vikings purple. So I think in this game, though, the Vikings were actually favored before the announcement of Jaden Daniels starting. I would have taken the upset anyway because the way that Marcus Mariota played last week against the Denver Broncos defense, that was shocking. Because the Broncos defense is insane, especially not getting as many sacks as you'd expect against a team going for the sack record. So Jaden Daniels, as long as he doesn't screw it up, if he plays at Marcus Mariota level, they have a very good shot. That Vikings defense scares me a little bit, but I think late game field goal, game-winning field goal, Commanders get the win in Minnesota on the road to cover the -1.5. The next one, the Colts at the Jaguars. This is a risky pick, a very risky pick, because the Colts are on the way down. The Jaguars are on the way up. Also, you look at the history of these teams. The Jaguars do not lose at home against the Indianapolis Colts. However, the Colts really haven't done much over the past number of years. They had Peyton Manning early, transition to Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's gone. Then they had no quarterback for the longest time. Now they have Daniel Jones. They haven't had the offensive efficiency that they've had in the last decade. They have it with Daniel Jones. If Sauce Gardner's out for this game, but if the defense can play all right, and Trevor Lawrence plays how Trevor Lawrence has basically the entire year, mid-minus, I think the Colts have an opportunity to win here. They fired technically. They let their kicker go. They brought in a new kicker. After they lost their the first, I forget his name, but they lost their kicker. They had to bring in a new one. He's not really that good, so they had to get a new one. Kickers. What I realized, looking at the league, mediocre kickers do not have a lifespan. They do not have a long lifespan whatsoever. They bounce around the league every which way and eventually just end up, in free agency. So you got to get a good kicker. People are saying, fantasy people, why do we have to have a kicker? Apparently teams value really, really good. Cam Little, 68-yard field goal. We saw Brandon Aubrey kicking 55, 57, 63. Good kickers are really good. Justin Tucker, minus the off-the-field stuff, he was regarded as the greatest kicker of all time. So I think right now, Indianapolis needs to figure out a kicker situation. Remember Jake Moody on the Niners? Kyle Shanahan was pissed off every time he missed a field goal. So they had to get rid of him, obviously. So give me the Colts in this one. I think we're looking at Jonathan Taylor. He'll have a pretty good game, and I think that the run defense for the Indianapolis Colts will hinder anything ETN will do, force Trevor Lawrence to make some mistakes. So give me the Colts in a win on the road in Jacksonville, which is a rarity. Next one, Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. I almost picked Steelers straight up. I will take the Steelers to cover, however. Lamar Jackson's not playing well. There's something weird. There's a lingering injury. He's not even anywhere near 100%. He's turning the ball over a lot more. He doesn't look as mobile as he once was. He's not stepping up and running and escaping as we know the Lamar Jackson to do. The Steelers, on the other hand, their defense got absolutely torched by James Cook and the Buffalo Bills last week. Also, now we're hearing a bunch of rumblings about Mike Tomlin potentially on the hot seat. Big Ben saying that it's time for him to go. It's crazy. They need a statement win, potentially. I'll take the Steelers to cover. I might switch that to win, maybe. I'm not sure, but I feel very comfortable just based on the history of Lamar Jackson versus the Pittsburgh Steelers that they will at least cover this point spread. So give me the Steelers plus 5.5 on the road to cover against the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens just eke it out, though, with a very, very slight victory, although that is subject to change. Next one, Titans at the Browns. This is a trap game. I feel it. This is an absolute trap game. Cam Ward, not turning the ball over. He turned it over basically in every game. The last 4 weeks, no picks. Shador Sanders, last week, not that great. Got into a fight with Jerry Jeudy. Didn't look all that great. Now they're 3.5-point favorites. Now there's a big headline here. Cam Ward, Shador, who's going first? Who deserves to be the first overall pick? Shador, Cam Ward, Shador. Oh, well, Shador's the next highest quarterback after Cam Ward if Cam Ward's going 1. A lot of noise around this game. Shador looks all right. Cam Ward looked really bad. Now he's a little bit better. So this is going to be an interesting, a lot of headlines in this one, a lot of noise, but I'm going to take the Browns here just because their defense against that pitiful offensive line. I've said the Raiders are half a team. The Titans are not an NFL team. So we're looking at, what, I think Myles Garrett's 3.5 sacks away from breaking the record. This could be a record-breaking game for Myles Garrett here. This could be a 4-sack game because I'm looking at 8 sacks for Cam Ward. He's going to get absolutely killed in the backfield. So give me the Browns defense to come up big in this one and get the win, and obviously they cover the 3.5-point spread. The next one, upset alert. I got the Bengals upsetting the Buffalo Bills. This also, rarity, doesn't happen. Buffalo does not lose against really bad defenses normally. I think he's 5-0 against 24 or worse defenses. But in this case, Joe Burrow's back. And the defense actually looks better. You know why? Because they're actually able to sustain drives offensively, and then the defense gets to rest. And they're also doing it without Trey Hendrickson, who's also out for this game. On top of this, some of the best defenders on Buffalo, like Joey Bosa, is out for this game. This is going to be a big-time spot for Joe Burrow to continue his success, coming back. All of a sudden, no, you have 9 losses. There's no way you have an opportunity to make the playoffs. Boom. Beat Baltimore. Boom. Upset Buffalo. Right back in it. AFC North's falling apart. Steelers, Baltimore, they're beating up on each other this week. This is your opening, Cincinnati. This is your opening. I'm saying you get it. Bengals, upset. Bills, plus 5.5. Give it to me all the way. All right, this one, again, trap game for the spread. Because remember last time, it was like a 10.5-point spread, 9.5. I think they won by 3. They barely beat the Raiders. I'll take the Raiders in this one, though. I just think ultimately, the Broncos, the Broncos, they're just the better team. They're the better defense. They're the better offense. They're better in everything. My expectation for this game. Geno Smith gets killed in the backfield. I think that they go back to their sack record and whatnot. They're just going to absolutely kill Geno Smith. Ashton Genty's been a big disappointment this year. I don't think right now we're going to see anything, too spectacular for the, Las Vegas Raiders, who I said are half an NFL team. So Bo Nix, the offense needs to figure itself out still. Don't love it. It's improving slightly. Still don't trust it. The defense did actually kind of get cooked by Marcus Mariota last week. So I don't love that, but I think that they figure stuff out against a really bad Raiders team that's fired its OC. So give me the Broncos to win and cover the minus 7.5. All right, next one. Chicago Bears at Green Bay Packers. This is a big one. Really big one. NFC North hanging in the balance here. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers, though. They're pissed. You look at some of the press conferences they're doing. Ben Johnson making comments about how he loves beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. Oh, that's firing up one person in particular, and that's Micah Parsons. I think Micah's going to have a really great game pressuring Caleb Williams, probably forcing a couple interceptions here or there, really shutting down anything Ben Johnson's got. I mean, Green Bay did a number on Detroit. It looked closer than it was in my opinion because I think Green Bay had control of that game through and through. So I'm taking Green Bay. It's less than a touchdown, so the hook's there for Green Bay to win. Give me Green Bay to win and cover the minus 6.5. This one, we're looking at Rams and Cardinals. I don't know how to feel about this one. Cardinals are this weird team. You get blown out, and then you play close. You get blown out, and then play close against good teams. I'm going to take the Rams in a blowout in this one, though. I just feel like Matt Stafford against the Panthers last week, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. and a fumble loss that lost them the game. That's weird. You got to have a revenge game in there. The defense let Bryce Young cook. It's weird. You got to have a revenge game. This is your bounce back game. Teams that get embarrassed one week normally bounce back on the other one. So give me the Rams in a big time blowout against the Cardinals, and also they cover the 8.5 point spread. All right, Sunday Night Football, we talked about this one. Texans at Chiefs. Simply put, I think the Texans defense is going to be too much for the Kansas City Chiefs and too much for Mahomes, who's not good under pressure. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson will do a number against the backup tackles in this one. Trey Smith will also be out, so the interior of the defensive line should wreak havoc on anything the Chiefs try to do while running the football as well. It'll be all up to Mahomes. Derek Stingley out there as well. Hopefully, if D'Amico Ryans plays his cards right, he doesn't have his best corner line up against the third or fourth option for the Chiefs and puts the best corner on the best threat. Not like Lou Anarumo did with Sauce Gardner lining up with Tyquan Thornton instead of Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice. So I'm taking the Texans here in an upset win over the Chiefs. And finally, Eagles at Chargers. Justin Herbert's probably going to play with a broken hand. I don't love that. I think because you should be looking ahead. Let Trey Lance start this game. His hand's too broken. Heal up. Play next week, because next week you have the Chiefs. If the Chargers were favored to be an absolute trap game, look ahead game. This should be you're the biggest asset you have, and who's also banged up. Your entire team is banged up. But you let your best offensive asset rest for one game against a non-conference opponent where it doesn't matter that much. The playoff odds, they don't shift that much for this game. Next week, you're the number 2 spot in the AFC West. Chiefs are number 3. Chiefs win, Chargers. If the Chiefs win this week, you'd like to have Herbert out there against a defensive line that could break his hand even more. So give me the Eagles in a win. I'm hoping. I love this number right now because I think Justin Herbert should sit. His hands, he's trying. He's going to take every snap from the shotgun. I'm afraid he might break his hand more or get even more banged up. So I'll take the Eagles in this one. They got to figure something out too. A lot of rumbling. And my thing is, don't give A.J. Brown 12 targets, 10 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown. You lose games like that. Have him have his 3 catches for 60 yards, and you'll be fine, because that's how you've been winning football games. So those are my picks for Week 14. A lot of really, really massive matchups this week. So
yeah,
a lot of high-stakes games.
We're coming down to the wire.
Absolutely. All right, your time. Let's go.
Okay, I didn't do so hot last week, 8-8. But I did 8-8 on the spread, so that's generally better than I normally do. So I got to have you're getting closer to me, so I need to have a lot of wins this week. And I started out well with the Lions winning and covering. And interesting, the Miami game, I'm picking Miami. You're picking the Jets, so that's one we differ on. Dolphins have won 4 or 5. They still have a remote chance at the playoffs, so they're pumped up for that. The Jets have won 3 of 5, but they're out of it. They don't have a playoff chance. The Dolphins' record in December road games under McDaniel is 2-9. That's mainly because of the Harvey analysis from you that Tua can't play when it gets cold.
38.9 degrees.
Yeah. However, this year Tua hasn't played when it's warm. Hasn't played well when it's warm.
That's true.
He didn't play well at all. Okay. So I say the Dolphins have solved that, okay, by running the ball, right? 76.7 yards per game since Week 10 is the league's best, and the Jets ranked 25th against the run defense. So that's how I think the Dolphins are going to find a way to win this game. Tua turns it over a lot. 14 interceptions, leads the league, but the Jets' defense has only 1 turnover all year. 1 on special teams, 2 turnovers in total. The only defense since 1940 with no interceptions in the first 12 games. Tua is 6-0 against the Jets. I think he's going to wind up 7-0.
I will say, Tua was undefeated against the Patriots before this year.
Yeah.
Look what happened this year. You got swept.
Yeah. So I think the Dolphins are going to win this game. They don't need to rely on Tua anymore.
I'm trying to talk you out of our differences.
They found a way to win without Tua. Playing well. So,
true.
That's what they're going to do this year, this game. And against the Jets defense, was 25th against the run. He's one of the best running backs in the league. So
great.
You win with running the ball, I think.
True.
Okay, Seahawks at Falcons. I like the Seahawks -7. The Seahawks are the real deal with a run-heavy and a run-heavy offense and an efficient passing offense. And they've got an elite defense, one of the best defenses. They lead the league in point differential, plus 133, and have won 6 of 7. Their only loss was by 2 points to the Rams, who recently, in that 6 of 7, they lost the Rams by 2. And they're now tied with them. So, they want to try to win the division. So, this is a big game for them. And the Falcons, they've dropped 6 of 7. The offense has been consistently scoring 23 to 27 points in the 5 games since the start of November. The defense, though, has fallen off. It couldn't stop Taylor to Mitchell last week. So what are they going to do about Darnold to Njigba? I think that's a more potent combo. So I think they'll do worse against that combo. Cousins is without London, and the Seahawks defense doesn't look very good. I think that's going to be tough. A long day for the Falcons. I think Raheem Morris headed for getting fired. Saints at the Bucs. I like the Bucs in the 8.5 points. The Bucs are 1-4 since their bye week. Barely beat the Cardinals last week. But in a dogfight with the Panthers, who they play in week 16 and 18 coming up, I think they see this win this is a must win. The Bucs are getting healthy at the right time, even though Baker Mayfield, he'll play out there whether he's hurt or not. I mean, that guy's a warrior. 3 of the 5 remaining games for the Bucs are sub 500 teams. They have the 2 games against the Panthers. Maybe they split those 2 and win the rest. So I think they're going to win the division. But this game's a very important game for them. They should be able to beat the Saints. The Saints got the rookie starting, Shug, and 4 starters were missing. 4 key starters are missing in practice this week. So I don't like their chances against Mayfield and the Bucs. I think Mayfield, he's been on the rebound. That winning that game last week, I didn't pick him. I thought the Cardinals would beat him. So good for him, and he's a leader. And I think that the Bucs come out on top. Commanders at Vikings. I like the Commanders in this game, but I don't think they'll cover. If the Commanders win, then the Vikings up by 2.5. But now you say the Commanders are up by 1, right?
Yeah, 1.5.
Because Jaden Daniels is going to play. Neither team has won a game since early October. Over the past 4 weeks, the Vikings been outscored by 53 points. They have the worst point differential over that span. The Commanders minus 26 point differential is not very good, but it's better than the Vikings. They played well against the Broncos. The Commanders did. I think they have the better quarterback, whether Mariota or Daniels plays, and it looks like Daniels is playing, so I think that's much better. The Commanders' offense this is number 12 against the Vikings' defense at 11, so that's a good matchup. However, the Commanders' offense is much better with either Mariota or Daniels starting against J.J. McCarthy, who's having a horrible season. So I like the Commanders to win that. Colts at the Jaguars. I love the Colts. I like the Colts. I like Daniel Jones. I had an emotional attachment to them last week and picked them when I thought the Texans had a good chance to win. Lo and behold, the Texans did win. I think the Colts are unfortunately going in the wrong directions. Both teams have strong defenses here, the Jaguars and the Colts, against the run, and they'll try to make the quarterback beat him with the passing game. Jones has that broken fibula. Didn't seem to bother him last week, but he has 7 turnovers in the last 4 games. Indianapolis 1-3 in those games. He can't turn the ball over. Lawrence is not much better. The 81.6 passer rating is the 4th lowest among 33 qualified quarterbacks. He's a bottom 10 in completion percentage, passing yards per attempt, and TD to interception ratio. Hard to predict what's going to happen in this game. You're taking the Colts. I'm going to take the Jaguars, mainly because they're playing at home. Okay, Steelers at the Ravens. I like the Ravens, and I think they'll cover. The Steelers have lost 5 of 7. They've given up the most rushing yards in a game in 50 years against Buffalo. And that was against Cook. He cooked them. What do you think that's going to happen when Henry gets his hands on the ball? And Jackson can run too, although Jackson maybe has a little banged up there, but Henry's not. Henry can run it. He can run it against the Steelers. So if they're giving up that kind of yardage against the run to Cook in Buffalo, I just think the Ravens, that's a strong, very strong point for them. Fans are shouting, fire Tomlin now. Rodgers was visibly angry with his teammates out on the field and complained to the media about his teammates. How's that go over in the locker room, huh? Roethlisberger and Harrison are suggesting it could be time for a divorce with Tomlin. And on talk radio today, the Giants, they're thinking the Giants may hire Tomlin. So they've already got him fired and being rehired by the Giants. So I don't know. It's kind of got to be weird, a weird time for the Steelers, unlike anything they've experienced here for many years. So it's just not a good look for them, a bad karma. Since returning from injury, Lamar has not looked like Lamar, that's for sure. The last 3 games, no TDs, 5 turnovers. He should do better this week as Pittsburgh's defense is giving up an average of 365 yards a game, which is number 28. And the Ravens are playing at home. So I like the Ravens to win and cover that. Titans at the Broncos. I like the Broncos in this one. I'm sorry, Titans at the Browns. The Browns, what's his point spread? Went down to 3.5. It was 4.5 when I was looking at the analysis there. I think this in the battle of terrible teams, Cleveland's defense will be the difference in this one, as you pointed out. Cam Ward ranks last or close to it in completion percentage, yards per attempt, passer rating, and sacks taken. Titans have the fewest points per game, 14.2, and the worst point differential at minus 13.2. Sanders hasn't fared much better, but it's a small sample size, a 50% completion percentage and a negative EPA per drop back. Faced the 3 of the 4 worst. He's faced 3 of the 4 worst pressure defenses in the league too in his play. So hasn't really been tested. Now he's going up against Cleveland's defense. And you mentioned Garrett needs 3.5 more sacks to break the record, or 4 sacks, I guess, to break the record. I think he might get them on Sunday. Might get all of them. Because Titans' offensive line, not good. Cam Wood, the most sacked quarterback in the league. I'm sure Myles Garrett is licking his chops for this game. Bengals at Bills. You make some very good arguments for this one. I think the Bills find a way to eke it out because they're playing at home. But I don't think they cover. Bengals are 3-0 with Burrow when Burrow plays. The defense ranks last in points and yards allowed per game at 31.2 and 410 yards, but they held the Ravens to only 14 points. So that they're looking up maybe. The Bills' defense is poor against the run. The Bengals, their running back Brown has been very good lately. Allen is 11-1 at home in December and January. The Bills are 5-1 at home so far this year. It's a scary game. The Bengals very well could win this one. Joe Burrow coming out has given them some life. He played pretty well last week. Their defense rose to the occasion. It could happen, but I think the Bills at home and a cold day, I'm liking them to find a way to eke out a win. Broncos at Raiders. Broncos plus, they have the 7.5, minus 7.5. Denver has 8 one-score wins. So they're kind of like the Chiefs last year, had all those wins by one score. And, that was quite exciting. Every year there's some team that has a lot of one-score wins. The Bears have quite a few one-score wins. The defense is a huge reason for that success, I think, for the Broncos. They're on pace to tie the single-season sack record of 72. Nick Bonito, 10.5 sacks, and Zach Allen with 31 quarterback hits lead that defense. The Raiders have Brock Bowers and not much else. Geno's 14 interceptions, tied with Tua for the league high. Run game, as you mentioned, ranks last. The Raiders average less than 15 points a game. Denver averages 23.7 points a game. Their offensive line is very good. Denver always wins the close game this year. So I'm not sure it'll even be that close, but I do like Denver to win this game. Bears at Packers. I don't think the Packers will cover this game. I do think they'll find a way to win, mainly because they're playing at home. This will be the Bears' toughest test yet. It's they're fourth in time of possession, while Green Bay ranks fifth in fewest yards allowed per play. That's an interesting matchup. The Bears have the most big plays this year, while Green Bay has given up the second fewest big plays. So that's interesting. The Bears have forced 26 turnovers, while the Packers have the fewest at only 7. The Bears' running game averages 153.8 yards per game. That's second in the league, while Green Bay's defense is allowing only 98.3 yards per game. That's 8th. The difference, I think, will be the quarterbacks, where I think Love, playing at home, will outplay Williams. The Rams at the Cardinals. I got the Rams. The Rams bounced back from the loss to the Panthers. I think it's unfortunate for the Cardinals that they're getting the Rams right after that crazy loss they had to the Panthers, because they were going to be, and particularly Stafford, who really gave the game away with his fumble. I think he's going to be really pumped. They were out of sync, I think, on offense last week, and the defense was off its game in that loss, letting Bryce Young cook. I don't know how that happened. I don't think it will happen 2 weeks in a row. The Cardinals beat them by 31 points last year when they played at Phoenix, but the Rams are 5th in EPA per play on offense and 4th in EPA per play on defense. The Cards are 22nd in EPA per play on both offense and defense. That's a pretty big difference. I think the Rams win pretty easily. Texans at the Chiefs. We talked about this one. I'm taking the Texans in this one. I think it will be very close, and the Chiefs could wind up winning. The backs are totally against the wall in this. They don't lose at Arrowhead. The Texans are on a roll, too, and they need to win this game to have a chance for the playoffs, too. So I like the Texans, particularly if Stroud plays well. Eagles at Chargers. Poor Justin Herbert. He had a plate and screws inserted into his hand on Monday. How do you think that must feel? I'm pretty sure that hurts, right? Yeah. So how can he handle the ball? He wants to play. I don't know. How is he going to handle the ball? He can't take it under center. He's going to have to be in the shotgun. So there's no play action.
True.
So, I agree with you. Trey Lance, they should probably put him in and see what he can do, and save Herbert to play against the Chiefs next week if he can play. I don't know. I think it's with a broken hand and having a plate put in it. That means you got to cut your hand open to put the plate in, right?
I guess, yeah.
How can that feel? And I'd like to see what the cast looks like.
It's a big gray thing. He's going to have to take all his snaps from shotgun, because you can't put your hand on it to take the snap.
Can he even catch it when, the cast is hard.
I saw very briefly.
The ball will bounce off it.
It's obviously not flexible, so it does look like his left hand is a brick.
They should sit him down, I think.
I don't disagree.
The O-line is wrecked also, for the Chargers, allowing 196 pressures, 97 quarterback hits. That's most in the NFL. 38 sacks is 4th most. And they're going to let Herbert go out there with a broken hand to get hammered again? I think that's cruelty. I don't think they should do that. Jalen Carter's not going to play, however. Harbaugh will have to lean on the running game with Vidal and maybe Hampton coming back. Vidal's had some good games. The Eagles have averaged 15.9 points per game since Week 9, and that's terrible. The Chargers' defense is good, but I think the Eagles find a way to win this one. Those are my picks.
All right, well, Week 14, we'll see how we'll see what happens. We got some massive matchups, a lot of playoff potentially changing games in this one. We're talking about the Rams. They opened up the floodgates for the Seahawks to overtake them. We're talking about the Colts. Can they retain the division lead? The Jaguars overtook them last week. Can they reclaim the AFC South? The AFC North is a complete crapshoot at this point, so we'll have to wait and see. But it is time. My favorite topic every single week when we do the Harvey Hot Hand, when we do the show Harvey Hour, is the Harvey Hot Hand, which is basically where I pick 5 teams that I think you should bet on if you are sports betting. We have a winning year this year, which is great. We're at a little over 55% winning percentage. We went 3-2 last week, so let's continue our winning streak. We got some heavy hitters So just prepare yourselves. But trust me, there's logic, there's reason behind it. So let's begin with the first one of Week 14's Harvey Hot Hand.
Dolphins at Jets.
Give me the Jets here. I'm taking the Jets. They're learning how to win football games. I get the +3. It's now -2.5 in some places. I get the +3 for this game. Give it to me all the way. The Jets have been learning how to win football games. Early on, it was brutal, winless, no takeaways, no nothing. Now they're starting to learn how to play. And it seems like some culture has changed, especially since Sauce Gardner left and Quinnen Williams left. There's something weird going on where they actually look a little bit better. They're playing a little bit better. And the last 2 games have been relatively competitive. You're actually beating the Ravens at halftime. Then you go out. A.D. Mitchell has a career year, and he finally scores his first NFL touchdown against the Falcons. And Tyrod Taylor's operating this offense at a higher level than Justin Fields did. Now you're going up against the Miami Dolphins, where it's going to be sub 40 degrees. It's going to be 38.9. What does everybody know? Very simple research. One Google search. How many wins does Tua have when it's sub 40? Quick answer, 0. That's a big issue right there. I understand. He's 6-0 against the Jets. He used to be undefeated against the New England Patriots. And you know what happened? All of a sudden, he starts losing football games against the New England Patriots. So I think with Tyrod Taylor operating this offense at a higher level, higher clip than Fields is, the Jets are learning how to win football games. Things seem to be turning the corner for them. The Dolphins, they're on a nice winning streak. They're up 16-0 against the Saints, and if Kellen Moore and the Saints operated the time, the game clock a little bit better, had a timeout, 4th and 1, you were driving, you may have actually beaten the Miami Dolphins. Instead, you did lose. Something weird's going on. I'll also say this. Tua is 10-10 from Week 13 onward, with 23 touchdowns, 19 picks, and an 83 passer rating. The Jets' defense has played all right. It's 25th against the run. We have to remember, their defense was pitiful very early on. So now, as of late, they're playing a little bit better. So give me the Jets to upset the Miami Dolphins. They win 23-20 and obviously cover that +3 point spread. Next one.
Steelers at Ravens.
Give me the Steelers to cover, and I may actually take them. I may switch this to a straight-up win because the Steelers got absolutely destroyed last week. I understand, against James Cook and the Buffalo Bills. People are calling for Mike Tomlin's job, especially from former, probably future Hall of Fame quarterback Big Ben Roethlisberger. The Steelers, though, they do very well against Lamar Jackson. Since Lamar Jackson became the starter, the Steelers as underdogs are 7-2 against the spread. 7-2. 6-2 straight up. Also, 3-2 on the road, straight up. So they have done a great job at minimizing the explosive impact of Lamar Jackson and this offense. And knowing Todd Monken, they just saw James Cook absolutely torch the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So what is Monken going to do? Lamar's going to throw it 35 times, and Derrick Henry will have 5 carries through the first half. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'll also say this. Steelers are 2nd in takeaways and number 1 in forced fumbles lost. Ravens are 27th in turnovers and 30th in fumbles lost. Lamar in the last 4 games, 56% completion percentage, that's 31st. 192 yards per game, 1 touchdown, 5 turnovers, that's dead last. And a 69.7 passer rating, which is 32nd among 33 qualified quarterbacks. So Lamar's been terrible. So this is a perfect storm. The Steelers have to prove something to the rest of the world. Mike Tomlin needs to prove something to the rest of America here, and the Ravens are falling apart. So I may switch this to a win, but as it currently stands, Steelers cover. That's all we care about here for the Harvey Hot Hand. Steelers cover the 5.5, and the Ravens do win. That may change though. The Ravens win 19-16. All right, this one is a big one for me, I think. Big one, but there's some history behind this, so let's go with it.
Bengals at Bills.
Give me the Bengals to cover the 5.5 against the Buffalo Bills. Joe Burrow is back. Joe Burrow is absolutely back, and he broke the 4-game losing streak against the Baltimore Ravens on Thanksgiving night. And Burrow, as 4-point underdogs, 9-0 against the spread, 6-3 straight up, 305 passing yards per game, 19 touchdowns, 3 picks, a 103 passer rating, and his team averages 28.4 points per game. The defense, as the last 2 weeks, went up against the number 1 seed New England Patriots and the Baltimore Ravens, who have beat them the last 4 straight times. 20 points allowed, 34.8 third down percentage, and 1 touchdown, 2 picks, a 76.7 opponent passer rating. So their defense has been very, very good and very, very effective as of late. And think about this. When's the last time the Buffalo Bills played the Bengals? We're up by 5.5 in the point spread. Oh, the divisional game. What happened then? In Buffalo. The Bengals whooped them 27-10 as 5.5-point underdogs. Give me the Bengals, upset the Bills. They're fighting for the division still. The Steelers and the Ravens are beating up on each other this week. This is a big-time game for the Cincinnati Bengals to prove that they're still in it. So give me the Bengals 27-24. They upset the Buffalo Bills. Let's go to the next one here.
Eagles at Chargers.
This is a big one here, but I'm taking the Eagles here, -2.5. I do think this point spread will move because I think that at some point you'll have to make a decision on Justin Herbert. He says he wants to play. He's probably going to be expected to play. How well will he be able to operate going strictly through shotgun? Who knows what he'll do throwing the football if they're relegated to having to run it 45 times and Justin Herbert can only throw it 20 times at the very most. How are they going to operate that way? It'll be interesting. But I think right now you have a broken hand, you'll try to go. I say that the Chargers, they should just let him rest. Put Trey Lance out there, who actually wasn't terrible through his 10 snaps or whatever that Herbert missed. Let him rest for this game because next week you're going to need him against the Kansas City Chiefs, which is a significantly bigger matchup than it is against a non-conference opponent here. And by the way, the Chiefs are also going up against the Texans, who have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league, where they could lose. So you want your best player healthy against the biggest game of the season. I think that going up against this defensive line, the offensive line that was third strings and fourth stringers, they did very well last week. This week, it's a whole different story. I think the Eagles defense is going to do something here. Me personally, I feel very uncomfortable if I'm a Charger fan and I'm sending out my quarterback against that Philadelphia Eagles defense that's not as bad as the numbers say. So I think that this could be a resting spot. The 2.5, the hook's there for the Eagles to win by a field goal. I do think they win by a field goal. So give me the Eagles to cover the -2.5. I'll take the Eagles to win 24-21. In the final game, again, we're swinging big here, which means
Texans at Chiefs.
Give me the Texans here in this one. Look, the Chiefs are going to be down probably 3 offensive linemen. They're already down 1, and the other 2 are doubtful. They're down Simmons, who's on IR. Smith and Taylor, they're both doubtful for this game. I think right now that is going to be a terrible matchup for Patrick Mahomes because he's going to be under duress all day. And under pressure, he's 31st in completion percentage and 17th in passer rating while under pressure. Sheldon Rankins in that interior, that defensive line, is going to do an absolute number if Mahomes tries to step up. If they try to run the ball, the Texans defense will be right there. And if we take a look at the Texans defense overall, it is one of the best, if not the best in the league. I mean, just look at all the ratings there. Points per game allowed, opponent total yards allowed, yards per play, EPA per play, passer rating allowed, average time to pressure. I mean, they get there very, very quick. Their get-off speed is the number 1 in the NFL. I mean, they are lightning quick going from the snap to try to get into that backfield. So I expect the Texans defense to do an absolute number on Mahomes. And by the way, we take a look at it. So Mahomes will dink and dunk. They're also one of, if not the best defenses under 10 air yards. So they'll eat up the dink and dunk all day. Derek Stingley out there. Bullock is another one of your big-time defensive backs. So I'm taking the Texans all the way in the upset. Give me the 3.5. You get the hook. We care more about the point spread for the Harvey Hot Hand, but I just think that this defense will do an absolute number on Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense. And by the way, their defense hasn't gotten a sack in 11 quarters. So I think C.J. Stroud will operate pretty well. So give me the Texans in the upset, 20-17. They do cover that 3.5 point spread. And those are my picks for the Week 14's edition of the Harvey Hot Hand. And as always, I bring you in to tell me, what you think I have a better chance at covering on. So fire away.
I think you're really rolling the dice.
Oh, we are going massive games.
You're really out on the walking the plank here on these picks, Nate.
Well, these are the lower point spreads.
Let's put them back up there. Start with the first one.
Yeah, sure. They would need to be a solo screen. Here we go. So the first one is the Jets and the Dolphins.
What about a chain running the ball against the Jets?
What about it?
I think he's going to have a field day against them. So, the Dolphins have figured out how to win without Tua. And, they're not going to he's going to be a game manager in this game. They're going to run the ball down the Jets' throat. So why wouldn't you pick the Seahawks and over the Falcons? That's a much easier pick.
Here's what I'm thinking about that Seahawks game. They play the Rams upcoming. I don't know if it's the next game or the game after, but they play the Seahawks very soon. I think they're looking ahead a little bit for the matchup that actually matters. This doesn't really matter that much. Except for, it depends on obviously how you look at the division. But they care more about the Falcons.
You think the Falcons could cover against
Well, also, we have to realize
Seahawks.
Sam Darnold the last few weeks hasn't played well whatsoever. He had under 200 yards.
But he didn't need to. The defense is just crushing the other teams. They would just game manage. He was a game manager
Right.
out there.
So let's
They
say
were playing just to win.
Let's
they
say
weren't.
Brosmer scores a touchdown when the Seahawks were kicking field goals. All of a sudden, the game changed like that. Jason Myers had, 5 field goals in that game? So let's just say that Brosmer scores a touchdown instead of throw the craziest interception of my life.
Okay, well, I think that the Seahawks beating the Falcons is a better bet than
it's a massive
the
point
Jets
spread.
beating the Dolphins. Okay,
fair.
it's not 6.5 points. It's not that much.
It's pretty big.
Okay, put the next one up there.
The next one is the Ravens and the Steelers.
That one, I think you did. What about Derrick Henry? I mean,
What about
Derrick Henry. They're going to hand the ball off to him. Look what James Cook did to the Steelers last week. They gave up more yards at home than they have in 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a
How
one-off.
are they going to fix that in 1 week?
It's a one-off. It's a one-off.
I don't think so. I think Derrick Henry's. I give him in terms of heads up there. I think that he's a better running back than Cook. So I see him just torching them. And all this cry for Tomlin to be fired and all that. They are playing for the division lead in this game, right? I mean, he is 6. Even though he's 6-6, he's first. He's tied for first in the division. They ought to think about that. They do have a chance. They have a better chance than many other teams.
But it's just about how it looks. It doesn't look good.
Well, it doesn't look good, and I'm picking. You're
picking the Ravens to win and cover.
I'm picking the Ravens to win and cover that game.
Yeah.
I would have thought you might have gone with the Bucks over the Saints.
Again, that's 8.5.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, again, we're talking about we talking.
But
they're
playing
Dolphins.
at home, and the Bucks have a very good defense. They're going to blitz the hell out of
that's
Tyler
true.
Shook, right?
That's probably
he's
true.
not going to be used to that. So I think that might have been a better pick on that one. Okay, next. What's the next one?
Bengals Bills.
Bengals Bills. I mean, that is that could possibly happen. I think.
There we go.
But you know what? I would have taken the Commanders over the Vikings instead of that.
That defense with Jaden Daniels' first game, that scares me.
Well, they can put Mariota back out there.
That's not a good look.
But J.J. McCarthy is the quarterback for the Vikings, and he's horrible.
McCarthy beat the Lions, though, in Detroit. We do have to remember that.
Okay, next. What was the next one?
Eagles Chargers.
Yeah, I think that one, there aren't these games are tough. I would say these games are tough.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you wouldn't have taken the Browns over the Titans.
Because I said that's a trap game.
Yeah, but they've got Myles Garrett out there going for the record against an offense line that is horrible. It's a sieve.
He was going
the most
for the
sacked
record
quarterback
against
in
the
league.
49ers, and the 49ers cooked the defense.
The Judkins is a good runner. They'll just hand off to him all day. I think that's an easier pick than that one.
Okay, fair
And
enough.
the last one, you took
Texans Chiefs.
That's going to be. We'll see what happens in that game. I guess all the other ones I see are very close. Except, don't you think the Broncos can beat the Raiders by 7.5?
They were 9.5 point favorites and beat them by 3 in overtime, if I'm not mistaken. Last time they played.
I think I feel like in watching the Raiders play that they've kind of given up.
Well, I feel like they gave up 6 weeks ago. But
I
to me,
think
they
out on the
played
field
close.
they look like they've given up. They watched the runner run by.
No, that was a very, very ugly.
That was very ugly. So I think that would have been an easier one there. But good luck.
Wait, hold on. Thursday night, the Broncos were 9-point favorites and beat them 10-7.
Yeah, but they're playing the Raiders now.
That's what I mean. They played the Raiders on Thursday night. They're up by 9. 9-point
That's
favorites.
different now. The Raiders have been beaten and bruised since then in every game. And Geno Smith, he must be totally bruises.
Yeah.
He's got to be totally bruises. I mean, and he throws so many under pressure. He throws interceptions. So the Broncos have one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm not saying no.
Well, those are your picks. I wish you luck. I mean, you have a better point spread record than I do. So
55% on the Harvey Hot Hand this year.
Yeah,
making some money this year.
Okay.
All right, that does wrap it up for today's show. We thank you for the constant support as always. Show's doing pretty well. Everyone out there enjoyed the Lions Cowboys analysis.
Thank you for tuning in.
Absolutely. We always thank you for the constant support. We'll be back here Tuesday. We got a full Week 14 platter to get through. A lot of these big time games. I mean, we got division changers. We got playoff hopes crumbling or increasing depending on how some of these games do. But yeah, we'll be back Tuesday to break all that down. So we'll see you on Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Bye, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts